Okay, so you've got U.S. warships patrolling off the coast of Venezuela. The official story? They're there to fight drug trafficking. But what if that's not the real story at all? Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a source that claims the real target isn't some drug lord, it's China. The argument is that we're watching a proxy war play out, right in America's backyard. So that's the big question, right? Why this massive military buildup? The source material we're looking at today asks this very question. And let me tell you, the answer it provides is a world away from what you're seeing in the headlines. It says, if you want to understand the warships, you've got to look past Venezuela and all the way to Beijing. And right off the bat, the source sets up these two totally different stories. On one side, you have the official narrative you hear about, fighting narco-terrorism, maybe even pushing for regime change. But on the other side, well, that's the source's real claim, that this is all a shadow war, a proxy battle against China, who they say is really pulling the strings in Venezuela. The whole idea is that one story is just cover for the other. So let's peel back the layers on this supposed cover story. The source does acknowledge the official line. We're told this is all about narco-terrorism, and that's why you're seeing high-tech stuff like Reaper drones and F-35s out there hunting for drug boats. But, the source immediately starts poking holes in that idea. It asks, hey, if this is just about drugs, why not just send in the Coast Guard? The argument is that this is way bigger than just drugs, and it's even bigger than just getting rid of the current Venezuelan president, Maduro. So the real question is, who or what is the actual target here? And this is where the idea of a proxy war comes in. From this point of view, the fight isn't really with Venezuela at all. It's with the superpower that, according to the source, basically owns the place. To think of Maduro as some independent leader is, in their words, naive. The real fight, they argue, is with China. All right, so this is where we get to the heart of the whole argument. How exactly did Venezuela become what this source calls a Chinese asset? Well, like a lot of things, it all starts with money. A lot of money. I mean, just look at that number. The source points to over $60 billion in loans that Beijing has funneled into Caracas. That kind of debt gives you incredible leverage. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the money owed. It's about how Venezuela is paying it back. And it's not with cash. It's with oil. And this slide really lays out what the source calls China's predatory oil game. It's basically a four-step economic trap. Step 1, give huge loans. Step 2, demand to be paid back in oil. Step 3, as the rest of the world hits them with sanctions, you become the only game in town, and you can force the price of that oil down to rock bottom. And the result? Step 4, Venezuela gets locked in this endless cycle of debt, becoming totally dependent on Beijing. The source calls them the poster boy for this entire strategy. But it's not just about the money, right? The source argues this gets way more strategic. It claims that Chinese companies aren't just building regular ports or cell towers, they're building dual-use infrastructure. What does that mean? It means that commercial port today could easily become a naval base tomorrow. It gives Beijing a potential military foothold just a 3-hour flight from Miami. Now, while this giant geopolitical chess match is being played between Washington and Beijing, the source takes a moment to remind us who's really caught in the middle. It shifts the whole focus from global power plays to the very real, very immediate suffering of the Venezuelan people. And I mean, this quote from the source is just, it's gut-wrenching. It really puts a human face on the whole political crisis. We're not just talking about abstract ideas here. We're talking about years and years of suffering, where getting basic food and medicine has become almost impossible for millions of people. And that's why, according to this source, the U.S. showing up isn't seen as an occupation, but as a long, long-awaited liberation. They point to people celebrating in the streets as proof that for those living under the regime, any action that might shake things up is seen as a very good thing. Okay, so that raises a big question. Why now? Why is all of this kicking off at this specific moment? Well, the source points the finger directly at a change of leadership in the White House. It argues that what we're seeing is a fundamental shift in how America deals with China. And the source paints a really stark picture here. It's basically night and day. It portrays the previous administration as weak, as inactive, as letting China expand its influence without any pushback. But in their view, the Trump administration is the first to actually stand up and challenge Beijing's ambitions in the region, bringing a new kind of strength to the table. And this really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? The belief that this assertive approach isn't just about some far-off country. It's about protecting America's way of life, securing the nation, and making sure it remains the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere for years to come.
All right, let's pull back for the big picture. The source wants us to see that what's happening in Venezuela isn't just a one-off thing. It's actually just one front in a much larger, undeclared global shadow war between the United States and China. So when you boil it all down, here's the final point from this perspective. This whole military operation isn't an act of aggression. It's defensive. It's about drawing a line in the sand and stopping America's biggest global rival from setting up shop militarily right on our doorstep.
And that's where this explainer leaves us. It leaves us with this really critical question to think about. If this analysis is on the right track, are these kinds of proxy fights over resources and strategic territory, is this the new face of war between great powers in the 21st century?